teacher teacher details container, okay, or let's do content, right, CONT or CON. We can do CON, container, like so. I can do div. I'll copy this, and it's on a div. So I'll set this, because there are children, these two children are inside it. I can flex it, right, and then or use grid, and then put this to the side and this also to the side. We can do that, or I can make it flex, give this pill a fixed size, and then make it go all the way to the right. So let me target that here. We have a div with a class of this. It should display flex, okay, and then let me save that. So div with a class of that. So display flex should give the, okay, so it should give the name, the image, and then this details, a way to flex at the side, but then I'm not seeing that yet. So let me save this part well, and then come back here and check why is my div not going that way. Aha, so it took time to resolve. Now you see it's moved to the side. So once it's flexed, then we can do a gap. You know, flex elements can have a gap, okay, a property called gap. So we give it a gap, and then say the gap is, let's say, 10px. The image icon I think is too big, so let's do it 60, okay, so it wouldn't make the cut so too big. And then also would have to set the text to be a bit smaller than what we have here. But then after providing the gap, we also want to make the image and the text sit in the center. So that one will come here, and it will be, if it's going to go vertical, it has to be align items to the center, okay, so they'll be nicely aligned to the center. And because they are flexing, they are taking up the entire space. Okay, we are doing the flex on this container alone, the one with the picture and the name, but then not on the whole container that contains this image side, and then where we have the GHS 4000. We are not flexing that part. So let's look at the container they also lie in. So it means this is the part I'm talking about, the span, and they are also, so this part and this part, this one and this one here, they also sit in this container, right? And this container, we can also assign a class name to it and call it teacher. Let's just call it teacher details. I'm short of names, so let us, this should be teacher details sub element or something. So let's call this one teacher details main hyphen main, right, just to differentiate that. And it's on a section. So I'll copy this, I'll copy that and go into this place. Make sure you save it. Then you come here and say we have a section with a class of this. I'm putting it on top of this one because that is the main, is a container in which this one lies, so it has to come before this one. That's why I just played. But even if I put it at a down, it will still work. Okay, and it's the one that is housing the teacher's icon and then the GHS 4000 there. So we want to display that also to be flex, and they will be beside each other, and then we'll say it should align items to the center, so they will all be in the center nicely. Good. And then this particular main must have a gap, so let's say gap. We don't need gap though, but then there's something I want to inspect on this element here, the box, because you can see that the box have the language in the center, and then it looks like it's also pushing the items, the image to the center, and then the 4002 to the center. It shouldn't be so. It shouldn't be so. So let me just simply give them a gap of auto and C. Let's resolve that. Other than that, we'll give it a fixed gap. We have to resolve that here, because when you inspect this, let us go into the developer console, F12. I want to put it at the side, so I'll click here, these 3 dots, and then put it at the side here. And this is what I want to do. I will inspect the elements. You see, it is a whole container here, which is this, okay, and inside it we have the individual elements. So this particular teacher details main should allow this element to be at the left side. It shouldn't be in the center, but then it looks like something is causing it to be in the center, right? So each child elements to be in the center, either by justifying the items to the center. So let's see what happened on that by inspecting the CSS elements. Okay, so you can see, I think this is what is causing it. You see, because we were doing it on the image, it was affecting, sorry, heading, it was also affecting that as well, because here it says is on top of the div classes card, section card, and then here we also have end div card square and a section. So it means that it's applying the same justifies to the center on both the elements here. That's not what we wanted. We want the heading to be separate from this particular side here. So we'll have to fix that, and then only have this part to be in the center, and this particular part will be separated. So where is this thing being applied? It says when we go to the index.css on line 387, that's why. So when you look at the developer console, this is where the actual thing is being applied. So it means that when I go here, line 387 here, that's where my flex is being applied. And you can see, because I open it up in it's going to be an open section, you see. So it means that if you are in a div of class card square, and then you are a section, that particular thing will affect you. So sometimes making it open like this would propagate to the descendants, the child, the grandchild, and so on, and apply the same effect to them. That is not what we wanted. So when we come here, when we come to this part, we actually wanted that effect on the heading. So where is our heading? This. So we said it was on the card square section. Why? Here, card square section, this section we are talking about. But don't forget, we also have another card square section here, you see. So that is why it's affecting it. So we can say card square section, but then it's the first child, is the first child of that particular section. So let's change this on that particular line. Let's say is the first pseudo this thing, and say first child, right? So now it will affect only the heading and leave this other part. So this is how we want it. We don't want them to be stuck at the center of the box. It's only the heading we wanted that way. So you see, by inspecting this, I was able to tell that, oh, not knowing it was applying that effect to all the elements because they also match the same condition I have supplied. So now I can close this and go back to my VS Code and then continue from where I left off. So that is going to be this part. So it means that aside having this, the card itself, the main card container, should have a padding. You see, all the things are pushed to the edge. So the main card itself should have a padding. So it means we will look for it, card square. So we'll ask ourselves, is it the card square? Yeah, that's the card square here. So this card square must have a padding so that the elements will not be to the very edge of the card or the square. So let's do padding and say padding should be 20 pixels all around, right? So now you can see it leaves out that space at the edge. Good. But then it also added another padding, because we added the padding to the top and to the top as well. It's causing this language heading, the heading, to also drop. So it means we need to reduce the language distance top, and that is where we have the first section. That's where the heading is. So it has to be reduced to 60, right? Because already we are adding 20 to the padding, so it's dropping it, and we had 80 there already. So we'll just reduce it by hello, Blessing. When you go through the layout, you will see that the heading, aside the card square, the heading is inside this section, and then also the teacher's details, which is this image and then the name Mr. Jokoto and that listen, they are also in a section like this. And then the other things are also in a section, the one age and so on, they are also in a section at the bottom here. So when I come here and say, oh, you know what, justify all the sections content to the center by after I have displayed them to be flex, it means all the sections in my this thing layout, which is inside the the card square here, right. Every section would be displayed as flex, and then each child element would be justified to the center. That's not what we want. We only needed that for only the first section because of our heading. We wanted our heading to be in the center, so we want to apply to only the first section here, and that is why we needed the pseudo class here called first child hyphen child. Good. So it affects only the child and then release all the other sections to be at where they are. But then also they were too close to the edge because we didn't have a padding to the container. So I went up to the card square itself and then added a padding of 20 to it so that it will move the content away. But when I did, I could just do padding and then set the top to 0 and then the rest will be 20 20 20. but then I did not do that. I did padding 20, so it added at the